So, uh, I figured that since I've played games on stream, why not give my personal feelings on them in the form of a review? And as I continue to play more games, you, the audience, can get a grasp on what I like and dislike in games, and get a glimpse into the wannabe eldritch being that I am. My reviews will be 100% my opinion and based off of the time I played the game on stream. If I end up playing an inferior version, if there's bugs that ruin my playthrough, or whatever, that will be the review. I will take opinions into account and may revisit the game later on if there's enough of a difference that I deem it necessary. But that will be a case by case basis, and it might just be unlikely. The reviews will be structured for my own sanity. I will start off with opening statements, overview of the game, gameplay, story, presentation, a recap, and then I will place it on the tier list. So, with that out of the way, let us begin. So, Sonic Adventure 2, it's certainly a game. Now, before you get the wrong idea, I want to preface that I do like the game. Hell, it was a cornerstone of my formative years. But despite the rose-tinted goggles, I have to admit it. The game has some serious problems. Some problems, now that my media palette has expanded quite a bit, are just too painful to ignore.
I'll make you eat those words!
Sonic Adventure 2 is the sequel to Sonic Adventure, the first mainline Sonic game to be in 3D. In the adventure games, you don't just play as Sonic, but as his friends as well, with two allowing you to play as the villains. Another thing the adventure games have is a story, with voice acting, which I'll get into later. But in order to experience the full story, you must play through all story/character paths, and if you complete all of them, you will unlock the game's final episode. Originally released on the Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure 2 just turned 20 as of 2021, and oh boy, does it show! But this game did introduce a lot of things to the Sonic franchise. A whole cast of new characters, some interesting plot points, fantastic music, and some much needed early 2000s Hot Topic level edge.
My name is Shadow. I'm the world's ultimate life form. There's no time for games. Farewell!
Sonic Adventure 2 is honestly packed with multiple different mechanics, and all of them are based off the character you play as. Sonic and Shadow have you playing a speedy 3D platformer, Eggman and Tails levels are basically rail shooters, and Knuckles' missions are pain! Oh, and I guess they are also treasure hunting missions as well. The game has extra modes, like a kart racer and the amazing Shao Garden. Now, let's go into a little more detail on each of these. The Sonic and Shadow missions are both the best and worst levels in the game, and it seems there is a theme. The first few of the Hedgehog's levels are really well made, allowing for the player to move fast, have some fantastic music, especially with Sonic's first stage. One can feel the high levels of polish that went into making the level. The level even ends with a Crash Bandicoot-style chase, where Sonic flees from a giant military truck. But as levels go on, the polish goes too, with Sonic's last level and the hero side being especially painful. There is a lot of grinding and precision platforming, which the camera and hitboxes do not appreciate at all. So there will be times where you fall through a platform or narrowly miss a rail. The grinding, while seeming cool, can also be a serious drag, literally. There will be moments where you will be able to move very quickly, and suddenly you will slow to a halt. It really breaks the Hog's gotta go fast mentality. That is actually a theme with the later Hog levels, where the levels throw enemies and obstacles at you, which are just tedious to get through and only exist to slow you down. There isn't much to say about the Tails and Eggman levels. You walk around in mechs, shooting anything in your path. These levels also do platforming, but with the slower play style of the mechs, along with some upgrades you get along the way, it doesn't feel too bad. The levels serve as kind of a buffer in between the other two types of levels.
Looks like he bailed.
No. Just no. I have nothing good to say about the treasure hunting missions. They are just pain. Plain and simple. I'd rather do fishing. But seriously, these missions are just a pain. Unlike the other missions, which are linear in design, the treasure hunting missions are designed around an area you must explore. What you are looking for may change depending on the level, but you will be looking for 3 of something, and the game does give you various tools to do so. Very irritating tools. The first and main tool you will use is the tracker. This acts as a hot and cold system. If you are close to the item, it will flash red, yellow, green, depending on how close you are. But otherwise, it will be grayed out. And while all 3 objects can be tracked like this, only the far left will be available to be tracked at any given time, and will only move on once you find the first object. But it is possible for you to find the other objects first, hence the non-linear style of these levels. There are also monitors that will give you hints, though they are not always the most reliable. Once again, the game's camera comes back to haunt you, as you will be spending most of the missions fighting against it. It becomes especially worse in space and in closed missions. These missions can either be very quick or drag on for ages, which is fine, as the levels are not timed. Except for one. And that one is bullshit! And kart racing sucks. Period. Moving on. The Chow Garden is honestly the best part of the game. I think this part deserves its own review, as there's just too much to it. Plus, it'll give me an excuse to raise Chow on stream. So, yeah.
That was pretty rough.
One theme of the 3D Sonic games was the desire to have a deeper story, something which doesn't really hold up in my opinion. And while that becomes very clear in latter entries, I say it is the most clear here. Most of the game's story makes 0 fucking sense. Honestly, most of it just feels like a weird fever dream. On the hero side, you are immediately met with some serious questions. Like, how did Sonic get arrested? Why is the Master Emerald in the middle of a desert? Is Tails a terrorist? That last one is something I'm actually serious about. Throughout the hero side, our heroes do some seriously questionable things, with the Demon Fox going on a rampage in the city. Sonic also causes some serious damage to a neighborhood, and might have launched an ICBM. Meanwhile, Knuckles is just mostly disconnected from the story, until he randomly pops out of a sewer gate near the end, somehow near Tails. Once Eggman blows up the moon, the gang have to go to space. And I guess they don't have teleporters, unlike the villains? So they have to go to Eggman's pyramid base, where there's a full-on NASA-style space shuttle waiting. For some reason, there's 0 explanation as to why. The crew eventually get to space, and use a fake Chaos Emerald to take down the space station. It's your basic kind of good guy, happy end story. Meanwhile, the dark side is both more interesting and more confusing. Eggman frees Shadow and Shadow says, "Yo, you want to destroy the Earth?" Where Eggman agrees, so the two start collecting Chaos Emeralds when they encounter Rouge, an undercover government spy. They allow her to help, as she knows where the emeralds are, specifically 3 that are on a single island kept in military lockup. Mind you, it's mentioned later that Tails was awarded an emerald for saving the city. So, what is it? Are the emeralds equivalent to WMDs, which require serious military protection, or are they the fucking key to the city? Either way, the evil lads steal the emeralds and escape the island. Though they don't have all 7, Eggman has enough to display the space station's power. He blows up part of the moon and threatens to blow up Earth if they don't comply. It isn't entirely clear if this is just a threat, but to me, he seemed very serious. Eventually, the good guys get on the station and fight the baddies, and at the end of the Dark Side story, Eggman activates the super weapon with the full intention to destroy Earth. The final episode combines both sides in an attempt to save Earth, not from the death laser, but from the failsafe that Eggman's grandpa added, which will cause the space station to crash into Earth, despite the thing having a fucking planet-destroying laser for some reason. The reason Egg Grandpa is doing this is cause he's really salty his daughter died, which ties heavily into Shadow's backstory. Eggman seemed very proud about what his grandpa did and the plan to destroy the planet, but on a literal dime, he shifts his allegiance and decides to help save Earth. There is no good reason for this, and it might just be a translation issue. Either way, it is very jarring. The heroes make a plan to stop the station from crashing and run into a giant lizard. Throughout the game, Shadow is claimed to be the ultimate life form, but Rouge comes out and says that he isn't, and that he isn't even Shadow. Apparently, this lizard is the real ultimate life form. Maybe. It was never really clarified. Sonic and Shadow fight and beat the lizard, which also sounds like a cat, and might also be part hedgehog. So the two go Super Saiyan and destroy the lizard cat hog and teleport the space station back to a safe place. Let's completely forget the fact that it was reaching terminal velocity and all that. That just stopped because of chaos control. And Shadow just suddenly fucking dies. He just falls to Earth. And dies. Meanwhile, Sonic just shows up on the space station completely fine? Why? I don't know. Everyone has a few things to say to their counterparts, and the game ends. Like I said, the story is rough. A lot is thrown at the player, and little to no explanation is given. I have heard some plot points are expanded in later games, but to me, that's just doing a patch job. While I do like the things this game does, it does make one thing about Sonic and story very clear. They just don't get along. This can be seen in full display with Sonic 06, a game we will eventually get to.
This time I'll let you go, but the next time we meet, you won't be so lucky.
For a game that was released in the early 2000s, Sonic Adventure 2 looks good. It was clear they were going for a stylistic approach, rather than realistic, which allows for it to look decent now. A lot of the environments look really good, and interesting as well, but while the themes are cool, how they are applied to levels can be very questionable. Take the space missions, where there are just platforms just everywhere and don't really seem to connect anywhere. Or the kart levels, where the weird-ass highway is just floating in the middle of a giant ocean. Good ideas, but really bad implementation. The music in OST, absolutely fantastic. Live and Learn and Eggman's theme, are still absolute jams that hold a place in my music playlists. The music will remain a constant good point of Sonic games. The voice acting was solid, honestly, a major improvement over Sonic Adventure 1. However, the major issue is the audio mixing. Way too often does the music overpower the voice acting, which can make one miss some important plot points.
No matter what you say, it sounds crazy.
Sonic Adventure 2 is a game that I hold close to my heart. I played the absolute hell out of it and can't help but sing along to the killer jams. But one does have to admit faults, even in something you like a lot. And Sonic Adventure 2 does have a lot of them. The game starts off polished, but takes a nosedive near the end. The camera is your worst enemy and will actively work to get you killed. The treasure hunting missions just fill me with dread. The story is campy and full of dumb moments, but it has charm to it. But the colorful, vibrant style and amazing OST do help one power through. All in all, Sonic Adventure 2 is just dumb old fun that I will continue well into the future. So putting it into the Vanex review tier list, it's going to be going into good for nostalgia's sake. We will expand this tier list as time goes on, but yeah, can't wait to find our first end reality game. That's going to be fun. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next few reviews. Crash Bandicoot games and Outer Wilds will be on here too, and then I'll just make these reviews once I beat games. So thank you all. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you go over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Lord_Vanex, and make sure you give me a follow. I stream Tuesdays through Saturdays at 8 p.m. EST, so make sure you come in and join me. But if you can't, the VODs will always be available on YouTube. I will be looking into making some edited clips. That way, they're like, just small bite-sized moments. And yeah, thank you guys so much. All right, bye-bye.